Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Upskill Forum. We do apologize for the delay. We have been experiencing so many technical difficulties this evening, but as we know, with technology, that sometimes can become the expectation, right, TJ?
Absolutely.
So we had to be agile this evening. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Vince. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the Agile Consulting Group, and I'm here with
TJ, also known as Thaddeus. I am the president and co-founder of the Agile Consulting Group.
Awesome. So we're so glad that you all have decided to join us this evening. We have such an exciting topic for you all tonight, and that topic is building confidence speaking publicly. I know that this is a fear for so many people. It definitely was a fear of mine for so long, but one that I had to work to constantly overcome. It was challenging. And I won't say that I've perfected it because I still strive to be better at this, but certainly something that I am constantly, diligently working on.
Vince, it's hard to speak in public, especially talking to people that can be hard to speak to, individuals that you feel like they sometimes maybe they may not always be as engaged or as supportive as you need them to be. So I think it's very hard to talk in public. But before we jump into it, how was your week? How's it going?
My week is going good. Had the holiday yesterday, so that was nice to have that day off. But I felt like I blinked and the weekend just flew on by. How about you?
You know, I was thinking I was going to reach out to the president of the United States to see if there was maybe a way that we could have one more day added to the weekend. Like, it was nice that the whole Monday being off, and I feel the president, he can make some things happen if he chooses to. Maybe we can have Saturday, Sunday, Monday as our weekend.
Okay, got it.
That's how you be agile.
Do you think that's realistic?
I mean, we have not because we ask not. Something wrong with asking.
It doesn't hurt to ask. You're absolutely right. All right. So for those of you who tuned in so far, make sure go ahead and start that watch party. Go ahead and share this video. Tag somebody that you know that it's a part of your network that could benefit from tonight's topic. Once again, that topic is building confidence speaking publicly, and we'll be diving a little deeper into that this evening. We like to kick it off with a quote. TJ picked this one out this week, so go ahead and take us away with it, TJ.
A wise man speaks because he has something to say. A fool speaks because he has something to say.
Okay. I don't think we reach much of a resolve, but I think what I take away from that quote is everybody has something to say.
Exactly.
You know, and we have to distinguish the difference of who we're listening to and who we're becoming an audience member for, because a fool can attract a crowd just as well as a wise man.
That's it.
But we know the difference by the fruit that they bear and the contents that come out of their mouth. So I want to kick us off tonight with things you should pay attention to. So this means at this point in time, pay attention. Listen up, because we have something to say. So things that you should pay attention to. What are some things you should pay attention to, TJ?
I definitely think it's important to pay attention to your audience. Definitely make sure that you look at facial expressions. Think about the importance of the individual that you're trying to engage with. And if you're talking to a broad group of people, it's important to really make sure that you have kind of felt the temperature within the room.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think facial expressions is so important. Our facial expressions share and they tell a story. And a lot of times our facial expressions are saying the things that we want to say, but we're not confident or bold enough to say. So we definitely have to be mindful of our facial expressions. And think about it. What story do you want to tell by way of your facial expressions? That's your outward expression. Those are the things that people can read. Those are the things that you are saying that you're not verbally saying. So we definitely have to be mindful of that piece for sure.
No, for sure. I mean, the face pretty much tells it all. Mm-hmm. And if you are having if you are leading a discussion and you have these weird looks on the faces, oftentimes maybe you're not articulating well, or maybe there's a question in the room. So you definitely want to be very conscious of the expressions that people are making to make sure that you're at least hitting home. And some people will make faces and there's absolutely nothing wrong. That's why you want to look at everybody to make sure that you're driving your point home.
Absolutely. And especially when you open up the floor for Q&A, questions, answers. Sometimes people will ask questions that you may not think is an educated question to ask. Be mindful of those facial expressions that you're making even in that moment. Or also, too, even if there's a question that's being asked of you by an audience member that you may not understand. Be mindful of that and don't show a face of confusion like you don't know what they're talking about. And you very well so may not know exactly what they're talking about, but you don't have to let your audience know that. So be mindful of those facial expressions and remember that those things are telling a story.
And one way I just want to add to that, Vince, one way that you can definitely engage and make sure that you value everyone's thoughts and opinions is say things like, that's a great question, because everyone may not think it's a good question, but you ask the presenter, you ask the one that's facilitating, you want to make sure that you're making your audience feel valued.
Absolutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Your gestures. You want to make sure that you are conscious of the gestures that you are making. Some gestures can be deemed as offensive. Many times when you're presenting and you're public speaking, sometimes it's easy to point and you may decide that you want to engage a crowd. Try to stray away from doing like, hey, you, because that could be very offensive, to someone. Or even if you're making a point, you want to make sure that you're not doing things or making gestures that can be misinterpreted as well, because sometimes though you may have the desire to convey one message, your gestures could be conveying another, and I think that goes hand in hand with the facial expressions.
Can you tell that I'm not engaged with Vince right now? I'm honestly not really listening to anything that he's saying. I've got my arms folded. A lot of times that body language, those gestures can easily send a message that you're not listening, you've tuned that individual out. So it's very, very important that you take into consideration the gestures that you're making, the faces that you're making, because you want to ensure that you're reaching that audience, and you want them to perceive you, and you also want them to not only perceive but be able to receive you and understand the information that you're saying. And a lot of times, if you are maybe doing too much, they won't necessarily listen to you.
100%, I agree. And then presentation. I say this all the time, and you guys may disagree with me, but I am a huge advocate for this one. Presentation is everything. Presentation is your first impression, and if you don't make a good one, that very well so could be your last. I always tell everyone the way that you create a memorable presentation is coming prepared. Show up prepared. Know your content. Learn your audience, and we'll talk about that a little bit deeper. Also, to take the time to groom yourself, because understand that your audience is judging you, not just on the things that you're saying, but also to your outward presentation. And then also too, along with presentation, you want to make sure that you stray away from different things that may be distracting. You might not want to wear loud jewelry. When I say loud jewelry, that may mean something that is big. You may not want to wear a bright colored suit. You may not want to wear a yellow. You may not want to wear orange or a red or, one of those really vibrant colors, because you want your audience to connect with you, the person, and not connect with your attire. They may think to themselves, oh, that's a really nice outfit. But you don't want that to be the only thing that people remember. You want people to leave reciting or citing you for some things that you said from the nuggets that you dropped during your presentation.
I agree. And I was smiling as I was listening to Vince talk about this because I was reminded of my manager. She oftentimes will say, I don't care how good that meal is if you bring it out to me on a dirty plate. I don't care how amazing that burger or that steak is. If you come out as a server at a restaurant and your plate is dirty, the first thing you're going to say is send it back. I don't want it. And she oftentimes reminds us at work that presentation is huge because you can have some awesome information, things that really need to resonate. But if the presentation is bad, no one's listening to you. They're so turned off by, like Vince said, that yellow suit that you have on, or maybe the shoes that you're wearing. You want to make sure that the information that you're sharing is perceived and that they can actually focus on the content versus everything else.
I'm going to share this with you all, and please don't hate me because of it, but I want to share this with you all. And this is just me, my personal experience. And TJ could attest to this as well. I know we both worship at the same church. And whenever we have a guest preacher, I usually make a prediction on how they are going to deliver the message. And it's two things that I look at. What are those two things, TJ?
Well, you definitely look at the shoes.
I definitely look at the shoes. The shoes tell a major story. So for those of you who don't know, I also have a tie company as well, Vince Lamar tie collection, vincelamar.com. I'm just going to throw that quick plug out there. But it's a part of what I do. So that's the other half of my business. But I definitely look at shoes, and then I also look at their attire. I remember we had someone that came and they had on this loud color suit. And I leaned over to Thaddeus and I said, Thaddeus, I said, yeah, this is going to be an interesting night. And he said, well, what do you mean? I said, yeah, he's not going to give his best. And my prediction was right. The suit became a huge talking point for everyone in the room. Everyone was so caught up on the fact that he had on this bright colored suit that they really did not connect with the message. And then the shoes, that's just a personal thing. I like a good dress shoe, but that's just me. But how one's presentation is with that, it goes a long way. So that's just sharing with you all a little bit of my personality and a little, personal tidbit about me. So the starting point, I mentioned it a little earlier. Connect with your audience early. This is so huge. Connect with them early. Steve Harvey, he shared in one of his testimonial videos. Like, I love watching Steve Harvey. He's so inspirational. But he shared one time how he went to perform stand-up comedy. He went and he was not prepared. He told a bad joke, not realizing that his joke was speaking of persons who have disabilities. And the event in which he was performing at had the front row was full of individual persons that have disabilities. And he was not aware of that. So when he tried to connect with the audience, he had already lost them because he had already offended them. So ask the appropriate questions if you are afforded the opportunity to speak before people, and ask, who is my audience? What type of individuals will be there? Who will I be addressing? What is the tone? Ask what the dress attire is. You don't have to assume, just ask those questions. Those things will help you go a long way.
I couldn't agree more, Vince. If we think about this from a ministry standpoint, and it can go both ways: ministry, professional, even personal. But I oftentimes say we've had individuals that will come to the church and they'll speak and they'll stay in the back the entire time, and then when it's time for them to have words, they'll come out. Well, I believe it's important to get there and connect with your audience early. So get in, understand the atmosphere, kind of get the vibe that's happening in the room. If you're able to get there early and you're able to network, that's huge, just to actually meet the individuals that you'll be speaking to. But I think it can be very challenging if you show up to the event, you stay hid off in the back the entire time, and then you want to come out and speak. You have no idea what's transpired prior to you walking into the room. You don't know the temperature of what's happening. You may have a 45-minute presentation prepared, but maybe you need to bring that down to 30 minutes because the participants have already had a strenuous day. So it's important to start early, connect with the individuals that you'll be having a presentation with, so that again, you can be well received, and then you can also have a temperature of what's happening.
And understand, just as well as you are trying to connect with your audience early, your audience is also trying to connect with you as well. So being present, coming out, being in the midst of the crowd, allowing them to see how you carry and conduct yourself is a really great way for your audience to connect with you early on as well. If we relate it to the religious environment, if your attendees, if they see you in worship, if they see you in praise, they likely are going to join in with you as you try to usher that audience toward that way. And then also too, even as a comedian, you want to connect with your audience as well, and scan the audience, get a feel of who's there. And of course too, based off of industry, that's totally different. Giving a professional presentation at work, they're judging you too. They are looking to gravitate and grasp a little bit of your personality. Don't be afraid to show some of your personality in the midst of you presenting. But I'm going to tell you this piece though. If you are not performing stand-up comedy, please limit the jokes.
Please.
And find a presentation partner. Find someone that you can present to ahead of time. You want to find someone that you can trust, someone that will give you honest feedback. That is so tough. That is so crucial. Don't be easily offended if they say something or they critique you and you may not agree or like what they're saying, but you have to understand too that someone in the audience that you'll be presenting to may share a similar perspective as well. So don't dismiss individuals that may be sharing things with you that you may not necessarily want to hear.
I agree. It's definitely important to have someone that you can trust, an individual that is going to give you the good, bad, and the ugly. I'd rather have someone that I trust to share with me constructive feedback so that I can be better, versus doing it and then making a lot of mistakes and then wishing that I shoulda, woulda, coulda.
And then I also want to share this: focus on the positive outcomes, because contrary to popular belief, the audience that you're presenting to, they actually want to see you do well, especially if they are spending their money, if they're taking time out of their day. They want their money's worth. They want a good presentation. So understand that individuals that are in your audience, they want to see you do well. So focus on doing well. Focus on the positive outcomes. When you make mistakes, nobody knows that you made a mistake unless you make it obvious that you made a mistake. So learn how to regroup after an error and learn how to do it fast. Stop pausing and say, oops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But instead, continue on with your last statement, just as I just did a moment ago.
I think that part's huge. I've been to presentations where individuals say, I'm so sorry. Oh, I missed my point. I think Vince hit it on the head, where we don't know that you missed your point. So it's so important that you just continue to flow through it. Mistakes will happen, and that's okay. You're human. Learn from those as you present, but you don't have to apologize. And please just focus on the facts and continue to progress through your presentation.
And record yourself and learn your voice. Something that I do often, I utilize the memo section in my phone, the voice memos, and I actually record myself before I speak. I learn what my time frame is. I take notes and I create bullet points for me to expound on. So that way I'm able to give equal eye contact to the audience in which I'm addressing. And I take that opportunity to learn my voice, learn when I need to project, learn when I need to maybe lower my tone, know when I need to maybe add in a dramatic pause to get the effect that I want to convey to the audience. So take time to really learn your voice because you have one, but you want to make sure that you're using that tool effectively.
And just to add to that piece of it, a piece that Vince really hit on that's huge with knowing your voice is that time piece of it. So when you are recording yourself and listening to yourself, definitely time yourself. If you are told that you have 30 minutes to present, don't go over and do 40 minutes or, just a few minutes. You want to make sure that you have enough time to give, if it's offered, to open up for questions. Make sure you have time for dialogue. So time yourself. Make sure that you have your talking points so that you are not just rambling and going through point after point. And it's very important when you think about that to ensure, as it relates to those talking points and timing yourself, that you ensure that from a communication standpoint, that you're focused and able to drive those points home.
Absolutely. Really good points, TJ. So we've reached the point in our live, one of, I think I would say me and TJ's favorite point, where we open up the floor for questions and answers. So for those of you who have questions, feel free to go ahead and drop those in the comment section below, and we're going to take those questions. If you have any comments that you like to add, go ahead and type those up, and you can do so right now. We have Charlissa James. She said it's a fear of hers. So public speaking is a fear of hers that she has. Tanisha, she said, that's me. I would definitely hide before I come out. I can understand why individuals who are shyer may want to hide, but definitely want to encourage you to come out because that is a really great way for you to connect with your audience. So for our announcements for this week, we want to encourage you all to meet us here every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for the Upskill Forum. We have so much in store for you guys, so many great topics that we can't wait to cover, just like the topic that you all provided us with today. We do take your topics into consideration and actually host an episode on it. So if you have a topic that we have yet to cover, make sure that you inbox us on our business Facebook page, Agile Consulting Group, with your topic idea, or you can email us at engage@agile-consultinggroup.com, and we'll be sure to reply to your email communication.
We want to tell you to schedule your one-on-one consultation today by emailing us at engageus@agileconsultinggroup.com. We definitely want to meet with you. Have some great resources to help you continue to further yourselves in your career. Maybe you're looking to start a business, but definitely feel free to leverage Vince and myself here at Agile.
And then join our private Facebook group for professionals and entrepreneurs, the Agile Group, where we share tips and strategies that we don't share with the general public. So this is a members only club. So make sure that you submit your requests today to be added and answer the 2 questions that we have. And we'll be happy to have you part of the Agile family.
And then like us on Facebook, LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram and the Agile Group.
Beautiful. And before we go, we did have a question that we want to answer. How do you control anxiety while speaking? Great question, Tanisha. So one of the ways that I control anxiety before speaking is I give myself a pep talk before I go before any presentation. opportunity that I might have. I encourage myself. I say, Vince, you got this. You can do this. You have what it takes. You've earned the right to be in this room. You have something to say. So deliver it and give your absolute best. I believe in you. And that really talks me off a ledge and calms my nerves.
I agree with everything that Vince said. I also think as Christians and believers, if you are, definitely pray. If you're not, maybe meditate, figure out what helps calm your nerves to make sure that you are able to feel comfortable in that environment. I oftentimes will have a warm drink to just kind of settle myself a little bit prior to that, but definitely those things that help you meditate to calm your spirit.
Absolutely. No, really great point, TJ. So that concludes this week's episode of the Upskill Forum. We're so excited that you guys joined us this evening. We always look forward to connecting with you guys every Tuesday. It's my favorite day of the week. And you know what? I'm just going to make it TJ's favorite day of the week as well.
I'll take it.
So thank you all so much for tuning in. And as we end each of our Upskill Forum episodes, live agile,
work agile,
and succeed agile. Until next time, our friends, thank you all so much for tuning in.